What if one day the bones of Jesus of Nazareth were to be discovered? Some archaeologist digging around finds them. What would that mean? Would it mean that the resurrection never happened? About 20 years ago, the discovery in a first-century tomb in Jerusalem of a clay bone box received a great deal of media attention. The clay box was inscribed on its side with the words, "James, the brother of Jesus." James, the brother of Jesus. Now, for the majority of Christians, this discovery was interesting, but not surprising. The discovery simply confirmed what they already believed, that is, that there really existed a person called James who had a person called Jesus, who had a brother named James. If authentic, and this is contested, this discovery would have been the earliest claim outside the New Testament to Jesus as a figure of history and to his having a brother called James. But the reason this story attracted so much media attention was the possibility, suggested by those involved in the discovery, that perhaps the bones of Jesus might also be interred in the same cave. If Jesus' bones were discovered, would that mean that the resurrection never happened? Would it mean it never happened? Now, this is an important and interesting question and is directly relevant to what we think Easter is about. Some Easter stories, like today's reading, speak of Jesus in quite physical ways. But others report that Jesus appeared in ways which went beyond the physical. You recall he appears to the disciples in a locked room by passing through the walls. He appears to the disciples and doubting Thomas. He appears as a stranger to two of his followers on the road to Emmaus, who do not recognize him for several hours. And when they do, he vanishes. And he appears to Mary Magdalene, who also does not recognize him. Beyond the Gospels, the risen Jesus appears to Paul in a vision a few years after Jesus' death, long after his ascension, as told to us in Acts 1. And according to Paul in the book of Acts, there were many more visions. These stories and reports suggest that when we speak of Easter, of the resurrection of Jesus, we're talking about something more than a singular, spectacular, factual event in the past. The resurrection of Jesus is about more than the corpse of Jesus. Rather than focusing on what happened, I invite us to focus this morning on the meaning of the resurrection of Jesus in the New Testament. What did it mean for his followers? What did it mean for his followers in the first century to say that God raised Jesus from the dead? Whether you're convinced, uncertain, or skeptical about whether the tomb was really empty, I encourage you to take a serious look at this question. What did it mean? What did it mean for his followers? And when you do, you find that the answer to the question is clear. In the Gospels and the rest of the New Testament, the resurrection of Jesus has two main meanings. Jesus lives and Jesus is Lord. First, Jesus lives. The first meaning of Easter is that Jesus lives. In other words, Jesus was not simply a figure of the past, but one who continued to be experienced as an abiding reality in the present. Such experiences happened not only in the first century. Many, many Christians in the century since have had experiences of Jesus. Some in dramatic visions and mystical experiences, and many of others of us in much quieter ways. If we were to discover the bones of Jesus, would we then need to say that all of these people were mistaken? Second, Jesus was experienced not simply as a continuing presence, but as a divine reality, as Lord, as one with God. In other words, there was something about the experience of the risen Jesus which led beyond the conviction that Jesus lives to Jesus as Lord. Jesus as Lord means that Jesus was vindicated by God. Jesus is Lord means that the lords of this world, the people in power, including the leader of the empire which executed Jesus, are not supreme. Jesus as Lord means that the evil and death manifest on the cross was not the final word, that cosmic love overcomes evil and death. You know, Easter is about much more than whether a spectacular miracle happened on a particular day a long time ago. Easter is about much more than surviving death for Jesus or for us. It's about who is Lord. What's the most important thing in the world? Is God, as revealed in Jesus, Lord? Or is something else or someone else Lord? If we discovered the bones of Jesus, would that mean that Easter is not true? Is Easter about much more than something happening to the corpse of Jesus? And according to the New Testament, it is. The powers of this world killed Jesus. The leaders of the Roman Empire, the leaders of the religious establishment killed Jesus. But that was not the end. Jesus lives and is Lord. And that was the experience of his followers then and is today. As someone expressed it, resurrection is about injustice undone. Resurrection is about injustice undone.